Hi, I'm Carey Dissmore.
I'm Steve Oakley.
So, setting up a Resolve system. Now, I've read that Resolve can run on a lot of different Macs, from something as little as an iMac to a MacBook Pro to Mac Pro Towers.
How much do you want to spend? Seriously.
How about nothing? No, that's...
Yes,
well, actually, that's an option.
That's true. If you have the basic Mac, a laptop, preferably with an NVIDIA GPU in there, it'll actually run pretty well. They certainly certify it for standard def and 720. 1080 I've tried, it's a little chunky, but it works.
Now, Resolve uses GPU acceleration to do the work that it does. Now, primarily that's been NVIDIA CUDA technology, but that's proprietary to NVIDIA cards. But we've got iMacs, a lot of times have AMD chips.
You're stuck with it. It's soldered there. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of MacBook Pros that are currently out there have AMD chips.
Well, a release or two ago, they introduced OpenCL, which supports AMD GPUs.
So OpenCL is, as its name implies, an open standard to leverage GPU horsepower versus CUDA, which is perhaps a little more advanced at this stage of the game, but it's proprietary to NVIDIA.
Right, CUDA's been out for a couple of years. It's just a much more stable and advanced development environment for the GPU. OpenCL really only recently had its standards certified, so it's a very new, very young technology. That said, OpenCL does work, but it's probably about half the level of performance of an NVIDIA product.
So OpenCL is ultimately probably the path forward for the industry, but NVIDIA is so far out in front with their CUDA technology that really that's where today where the higher performance
Yeah, that's a really optimized solution. That said, I've run it on an iMac, a 27-inch, and it runs pretty well. I was actually surprised.
And that iMac has AMD hardware in it?
Yeah, it's an AMD GPU in there, and really the performance there was pretty good. Would I want it to be my primary system? No. But could I give it to, say, an assistant to do some base grading and maybe some other masking tasks and do some secondary uses? Absolutely, work fine.
But you're sitting with clients and you want to have the most real-time performance possible. That's probably pushing you into Mac Pro territory, right?
Oh yeah. It depends on what you want to do and what your hardware is. Let's talk about the average person. What you want is basically two graphics cards in the machine. One that runs the displays exclusively, and the second card dedicated to CUDA GPU rendering.
So it's a graphics card, but you're not using it to drive a display, you're just crunching on it.
Right, it's sitting headless in the machine, not attached to anything, and it's purely there as a compute engine for doing the rendering in real time. So it really doesn't matter what card drives the displays. You could do a GT120 or some fairly lowly single slot card. But the card that really does all the hard work, you want to go into. DaVinci says a GT285 as a very high performance card. And they're real cheap on eBay.
Yeah.
But it's an old card.
It's no longer made
Right.
for the Mac.
So probably what I do is I put a Quadro 4000 in there, because right now that is definitely the best bang for the buck in this configuration.
Yeah, the Quadro 4000 seems like a really nice card. I personally have the 4800, its predecessor, and it works fine for me.
Their performance is actually very similar, but if you're going to buy something new, the 4000 is about half the price. So I go with cheaper.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to build the system up to the next reasonable level, you might go into an expansion chassis, a PCI expansion.
Because you just run out of slots in the tower, in the Mac Pro.
Yeah, exactly. And you could stick a couple more GPUs in there. And do you do red?
Not exclusively, but once in a while.
Would you like to grade red 4K real time?
Yeah. But
stick a red rocket card in and off you go, or two.
Red rocket cards are expensive. I love grading red footage. Oh my gosh, the latitude in those R3D files is amazing. You can do anything with it.
And Resolve will work with it. It's floating point.
And if, like I said, if I was doing red jobs all the time, but a few a year is probably not enough for me to justify buying a $5,000 red rocket card.
Right, but the nice thing is if it came in, Resolve is going to scale to use it.
Yeah, it's nice to know you can keep stacking GPUs and red rocket cards.
Right, so if you got to do tough stuff and you got a client to pay for it, it'll
A very smart friend of mine once said, "I'll buy any equipment my clients will pay for." and he's like a mentor to me in this business. So.
To a few of us.
Yeah.
So I do want to make one specific point here about, well, since we're talking about hardware. You want video output, right?
Absolutely.
You only get video output with a Blackmagic card. And that's specifically, I think, 3 or 4 cards. The 3D Extreme, the new Thunderbolt product, and 1 or 2 other cards. If you've got another third-party card in there, it's not going to talk to it right now.
That's fine. I mean, Blackmagic has bought DaVinci and made this $100,000 system basically free for users up to 1080p. I mean, they've got to leverage it to sell their other products.
I know. It's fair enough.
It's totally fair.
Right, but I need to be fair and say, listen, if you've got another vendor's product in there, you may have to pull that card out and change it if you want to run DaVinci and you're really serious about it. Something I would also like to throw in here right now is that the free version, you can open up and exchange projects with the paid version. So it's great, you know, if you want to reconform stuff and do some grunt work on the free version on your laptop while you're sitting there riding on the train into work or whatever, you can do it and then bring it onto the main system and get going.
Nice. So at this point, we've pretty much covered the range of machines and system options on the computer that can run Resolve. But we haven't really talked about other components in the system, namely whether or not you want a control surface and of course, monitoring.
Right.
I think we should probably break that out into the next segment.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. We'll see you in the next segment.
We're going to get to something.
Promise. After the gear, then we grade.
I want to see you show off.
All right. See you in the next segment.
Join us in our next episode where we discuss why you might want to use a control surface with Resolve and the options that are out there. We'll also have a pragmatic discussion on monitoring and offer some straight talk on the #1 job of your monitor. It's probably not what you think. We'd like to thank Blackmagic Design, makers of DaVinci Resolve, for underwriting some of the costs of this episode. Check out the full range of Blackmagic Design products at their website, blackmagic-design.com. Transparency is important to us. While we have accepted underwriting support, our underwriters do not have any editorial control. We are expressing our own opinions and points of view. We want you, the viewers, to factor this as you view this content.